Welcome everybody to a market close. We're back again. Holy banana bread. Those of you who are here for our last live stream, the New Year's Eve one, we went just over 3 hours, and we did count down the new year for Greenland of all places. But it was a good stream. It was definitely a good stream. So as you guys can see from the color behind me, we got a red day. The market is red today. Let's yeah, there we go. I had a box right at my feet. I'm like, what? How does that get there? Um, let's take a quick look at the heat map here of the market and see what we got. All right, here we go. And just give me a second. I don't like that setup. That was a setup I had set up for the other show. So let's see here. Well, we'll go that one. There we go. We'll go with this one right here. All right. Holy banana bread. Look at all the red. Look at the red. Most of the banks are down. Look at that. BMO down 0.52%. Bank of Nova Scotia. Well, Bank of Nova Scotia is down 1.92%. But look, Brookfield Corporation down 2.84%. Woo, it is pretty red. Now, we do have a few nice things like Imperial Oil. Look, they're up 1.85%. CNQ's up. Enbridge is up 1.34%. Good old Alimentation Couche-Tard is down just a tiny bit. Let's actually take a look and see who the winners are. All right, so, oh wow, look at this. Over on the communications, all three of the big three, Bell, TELUS, and Rogers up. Rogers not up by a lot, though. Yeah, this looks like a very interesting day. Let's take a look at the U.S. quickly. Over here on the U.S., we have... Oh, we got a little bit of everything going on here right now. It's kind of a reddish day too. There's nothing really standing out at me that I want to call on with the US, but let's go to our last heat map. We got our crypto heat map. Look at that. Bitcoin up a big 1.66%. Ethereum's up 0.64%. So not a bad day, but now some of the big ones that people have been talking about lately, like Solana was down 1.46%. So yeah, it's kind of interesting when we take a look at the map. Now, let's just pull the map out of the way. There we go. Bring me back up. The market overall, holy cow. So the S&P is down by almost 1%, so 0.87%. The TSX is down by 0.6%. Now, here's the interesting thing. We've been talking about that Santa Claus rally since December. Did we get it? In the U.S., no. In the U.S., we fell too far to get a Santa Claus rally. In fact, for the S&P 500, we actually fell 0.63% between December 22nd and January 2nd. So no Santa Claus rally in the U.S. They got Scrooged. Now, for the TSX, though, even though we're having a red day, we still rose by 0.23% over that time. So we kind of just got a Santa Claus rally. It's like a Santa Claus rally, but instead of Santa Claus, he sent one of the elves. But, you know, that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Maybe next year we'll have a nice, strong Santa Claus rally. All right. There's a lot of people in chat. Let's get over there and say a quick hello. We got Vic. Vic was here first, and Vic was here not only first, smoke free at the same time. Vancouver Isles, wishing Vic a good, some good luck on that quitting smoking, because Vic quit smoking for the new year. And I dropped in and said, "Way to go!" I also dropped in and dropped the first of our free memberships. Basically, I'd like to do one at the beginning because I want you guys to look at it where it says. Where you see this part on your screen, if underneath of it you see a little gray box with a link on it that says allow gifts, you got to click on that and allow gifts. Otherwise, you cannot win. But for this one membership we dropped earlier today, it went to Ann Kirk, who's in here and says, "Holy banana bread. Thank you for the membership. Yippee." Prairie investors in the house. Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy new year. First day back at the office, we'll be lurking in the background and listening into the conversation as I work. Awesome sauce. And she goes on to say, for those of us that have a stake in Northwest Health, last I checked, it was up near 3% from Friday's close. Nice. So there we go. And I am expecting to see some improvement in REITs over 2024, especially the second half of 2024. So we'll have to check on that a little bit later. Mary says, Happy New Year, everyone. And from Mary to Mario, Mario says, good afternoon, everyone. And we also got Michael the Knight in the house saying, hey, everyone. And here's Bleak. Good to see you, Bleak. Everybody's here. Steve Wilson's in the house, says, missed the New Year's, but after watching the replay, I bought some BTCY today and always a little scared of crypto. Yeah, I can understand that. And this is kind of the thing. I mean, my perspective on, at least in the challenge with the BTCY, is that I'm going to ride it up. So I'll probably hold that in that portfolio probably into 2025. Doesn't hurt to get the dividends off of it. And I have a feeling it's going to do fairly well. So nothing wrong with that. Chad made it to the house. Made it. Yay. Howdy, y'all. This is what he said. I won the other day as well. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. It's always good to see folks winning. Of course, everybody's won except for this one infamous person by the name of Skiz. And we'll have to see if he manages to win today. That would be that'd be a great way to end, because this is the last day of the giveaway. So that would be a great way to close out this giveaway. Now, just because the giveaway is ending, we are back here tomorrow, because for this new year, we are doing market closes every single Wednesday of 2024. So you're going to get this. We're still going to get this, which is good. We just won't get as much of it, which may be good too, because then I don't have to pay you guys rent for being in your houses so much. Ian says, I'm walking back to my apartment in Colombia right now. Hope my phone does not get jacked. I hope so. Now, interestingly enough, Ian was heading to Colombia during our New Year's live stream, and he was listening to the show while he was, in the plane waiting. His plane got delayed. Hopefully you got there at a half decent time, Ian. I hope. Chad says, BTCY pays a dividend. Don't be scared. You make your money back, because BTC went in a tear last night. Yeah, absolutely. Bitcoin last night absolutely exploded. Now, right now, it has cooled off a little bit today. So it is right now, it's up 1.41% on the day, but it was up above 2% for most of the day. So Bitcoin did well. Oil's down today, by the way, 1.19%. Gold's down just a fraction. So yeah, it's an interesting day on the market. We'll have my first little sip of coffee. Starbucks should sponsor me since I'm using their cup. I don't think they will, but still, which is funny. I use the Starbucks cup, but I'm not really a fan of the Starbucks coffee. All right, so we got about 7 minutes before we have the bell, so I'm looking forward to that. And it's good. I get to keep the bell all year round as well. All right, now, what was I going to say? We did drop a video today. It was the video on the 0 to 100K challenge. So we got a little bit in there. And as you can see, I've been talking a little bit about how I definitely wanted to look at Bitcoin and how I wanted to start looking at REITs in 2024. So they've now both been added to the challenge. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now, here's the fun thing. We have coming up, we have the prediction video. Now, we went over our predictions on the New Year's stream for 2023. So that video in 2023, amazingly enough, after I went through and reviewed it and we ranked everything, I ended up with a 64% accuracy. So that's not too shabby, if you ask me. This year, I'm hoping for at least 65%. So I'm getting excited. I've actually started scripting that video. And I got the thumbnail and everything all done. Actually, I threw the thumbnail up as a preview over on the Facebook group. So any of you guys who want to see that preview, just go to the Facebook group. There's a link down below, by the way. And we are this year going to look as well at adding that Discord. So that is a Q1 gold for me today for sure. All right. Mario says, okay. It's like I should come up with the ending words, and we'll keep saying it like those two alien things on Sesame Street. That would be fun. Ian says the chat is not refreshing for me. Uh-oh. That's not good. I've been in a chat before where that doesn't refresh. You hear everything going on, but the chat's not refreshing. You might just have to manually refresh the whole page. The only downside is if you don't have premium, then you probably have to watch ads again, which kind of sucks. Mario says the 0 to 100,000 video was great. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Jordan's in the house. Hello, I made it before the close. You did. We still have 4 minutes. And hello, even instead of heli. Okay. Yeah, you said heli, and I was thinking of a helicopter, and then that made me think about Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "Get to the chopper." And, I can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent very well. Chad says, just a question that I'm not sure about. Volume is that buys and sells short and long. Okay. Let me just see if I can figure out this question. Just a question that I'm not sure about. Volume is that buys and sells short and long. So I think it is an options question. One of the things, I guess I'm thinking about volume. I know right now the volume over the holidays, of course, was lower. Not as many people trading, a lot of people on vacation, a lot of people taking time off. But when you are looking at setting shorts and longs, I would say volume is definitely important. Otherwise, if you don't have a lot of volume in a stock, you're not going to you tend to not get as much of a movement. And that can sometimes be a hindrance when you're trying to hit a strike point, for example. Yeah, rough day. Nice rough red day on the market. So holy banana bread. Or just all total movement in that stock. I need to know exactly which stock we're talking about there, Chad. I'm not sure if we're talking about everything or just a particular stock in particular. Number nine, nine says, does CRA update TFSA room again during tax return time? My 2024 TFSA contribution room is way off on the CRA site. Yeah, well, keep in mind too, the number that you see on the CRA site should subtract stuff that you've already got into your CRA. It should only be reflected what's left. So the room that you currently have available, and they should have added the 7,000. Now I haven't looked to see if they've added it yet or not, but it is there as of January 1st. So if you put money in, or you start putting stuff into your TFSA right now, you can count on that extra 7,000 space, even if you don't see it reflected on the CRA site. And yes, sometimes they can be slow to the back getting that all set up, because when you think about tax time is when they actually get a lot of that information. So for example, from Wealthsimple, or any of your brokers, they will report everything in, they have different T-slips that they have to send in. That will give them that information as well. So I think you're right that you're probably not going to see anything accurate there until after you've done your taxes, unfortunately, or not even after you've done your taxes, once they've received all of your tax slip information. Ian says, the chat is refreshing fine, just nobody was saying anything. Oh, okay, that'll do it. Anyway, I bought 2,175 shares of Canoe in my TFSA today. That's a lot of Canoe. That's almost like a little fleet of canoes in a way, but yeah, not bad. That's going to be, well, that's like a $217.50 of dividends every single month. So not too shabby. Apple took a dive today. I did not notice that, but yeah, Apple is interesting. They have some issues, of course, with their watch. And now they have this new virtual headset that's coming out. So we're going to have to see what happens with Apple. They need to get that watch thing resolved right away, because right now with their latest line of their Ultra iWatch is not being allowed to be sold. That is hurting them big time. So we have to sort of hope. And I like Apple. Like all of my stuff is Apple. Even my watch there is Apple as well. But yeah, I mean, from the sounds of it, Apple kind of overstepped a little bit on some proprietary software. So I look at it this way. If somebody tried to steal some Apple software, they would be just as fast to bring down the to bring it down on them as well. So yeah, we'll go with that. And yes, the fleet of canoes. Nine says I have 60K room, even though I contributed around 80K. That's a little bit odd, but if you contributed all of that this year, once again, it may not reflect it yet until they've gotten all of the tax slips. So it may not see it yet. That's all. Once you've gotten through tax time, all the tax slips come out. I think they're all usually out. Usually, most of them are out by the end of February, early March. Then you should start getting some more accurate information from the CRA. Paul said tech took a dive today. People spooked and going to value. Yeah, I can understand that, though. I'm still pretty bullish on tech. Like, I think the AI craze is only getting started, to be honest. Just from the stuff I've seen, the information I've seen on AI in the background, I think there's still some wind left in the AI bubble, or whatever we want to call it. I think there's still room for tech to do really well in this year, but we are going to have these days where things go down. It's just part of the market. It always happens this way. Oh my God! Oh, Belle, we're late. We're late. We're really late. Oh, I can't believe it. The last day of the contest and I'm late. All right, that sucks. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm late. And nobody told me. Nobody said, Belle. Because normally you guys are really good at that. All right. Well, let's do the giveaway. I still can't believe it. I can't believe it. All right. So the final day of the giveaway, we're going to come in, we're going to drop some memberships here. All right, we'll see. Do we hit Skiz? I don't. And Skiz isn't even here. This would be funny if we hit him when he's not here. So that should be coming up in a moment. We'll see what happened. Here we go. Let's see. Gagan, Cause Why Not, Dr. Toe Tag. That's a funny name. Mart and Spec Spooky. They have all won. They've all won gifted memberships. Congratulations. No Skiz, though. No Skiz. I don't know what's up. I was just hoping for a good story to happen. And the best story would have been Skiz winning at the end, but it just didn't happen. Holy banana bread. No, not an option. Total volume. What does that mean? Total buying, selling? Yeah, the volume is how much of that stock is moving in that day. And that's why when you're looking, like if you're a short-term trader, for example, and you're looking for things like for swing trading or day trading, you want to have a good volume because you want to be able to have, well, you want to first of all be able to buy and sell quickly. And if you don't have a really good volume, you're going to sometimes find that that's not going to happen. And sometimes when you look at the bid-ask spread, smaller volume stocks will sometimes have really wonky spreads. So you definitely... that's definitely where that comes in. Now, long-term investing wise, I don't think the volume is as important, other than the fact that if it is a low volume, it's probably not going to be a stock that, that you can sort of buy and forget. It's going to be one that you're going to be a little bit more watchful on because, it's definitely not blue chip. So inside that stock, okay. Let's see. ACT hit all-time high today. Up 12.78%. No, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. I know that. Hi there. That was my guest host, Alexa. I don't know what Alexa was saying. Country Auto Garage says, not sure if Wealthsimple overpaid for BN and BAM and then removed the cash out of my account. Uh-oh. No, I'm not sure what happened there. Sometimes what does happen though is if you put in a sale and it doesn't move right away, especially if it's a market value. So what you kind of want to do, and I know most people don't do this. Most people are, it's just like, let's just do it. And most times it's fine. You put your sale in, it goes right away anyway. But if you do everything as a limit sale, then you never get any surprises. Because I have seen situations where you go to buy a stock, and you do it as a market sale at market value, and the market just happens to be dropping or going up at that moment, and all of a sudden you overpay or under, you usually overpay for what you wanted, or you end up selling it at much lower than you had anticipated selling it at. So if you put in limit buys, they will absolutely prevent you from having any surprises when it comes to stocks. Ian says, talking about canoes, one time I was drunk at a party and challenged my brother-in-law to a canoe race around the world. It has not happened yet. Okay, that would be a long canoe race. However, you can portage them over the land parts of the world, I guess. So maybe that's something you can do down the road, but yikes, yeah. I don't know if I'd want to canoe around the world. I do like canoeing. I used to canoe quite a bit, but not around the world. Paul says, let's see, Monster Beverages is somewhat safe. No dividend, though. 17.3% each year annualized over the last 10 years. There we go. And I can understand that. I mean, Monster Beverages is pretty huge. A lot of people really love those Monster Beverages. So that makes sense. Pfizer is up 3.42% today. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So yeah, I mean, even though, keep in mind, even though we have a red day, there's still going to be stuff that's up. So, things like Pfizer and Northwest Health, that's not going to be a bad thing. And Manish says BCE. I believe BCE was up today. Let me double check for you. Here we go. I'm just going to pull up here we go. Let's just pull up the heat map one more time. And just give me a second here. I need to actually get to the heat map on my screen so that I can navigate through it. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Let's take a look and see here. So yeah, BCE finished the day. Look at this, up 3.16%. That's fantastic. Well, let's get rid of the losers. Let's just get rid of, whoops. Oh, I already did get rid of the losers. Let's also get rid of these ones. Let's just look at the ones that are bigger. Look at this. I mean, we have, like I said, CNQ, Suncor, Imperial, Enbridge. Oh my gosh. Oh, CP. Look, CP is up. BCE is up. Oops. And I can actually zoom in on the smaller ones. Let's just get over here. Okay, let's see here. So EMA, CU's up a little bit. Look at that. AQN is up 2.75%. So that's not too shabby. I still think they have a lot of pain in front of them. But it is kind of neat that there is some good stuff. Now, where we were talking about, well, let's just take a gander back here. Oh, look at this. FM. So First Quantum Minerals. All right, is that popping up correctly here? Oh, there we go. All right, so yeah, they had a little jump here as well, but they're still on a more of a downtrend. So that's one of the nice things as well about this heat map is I can go into pretty much any of the companies. So for example, if I want to pull up Enbridge, I can pull up Enbridge and sort of get a chart on them, which is kind of nice. It's just a good way to get into things really fast. All right, we'll pull me back up. Add me to the stage. There we go. That helps if I do it the right way. So yeah, BCE, look at that. They're up 3.1%. Excuse me. Manish says, yes, it was up, and I believe is at a pretty good price. Still good to start a position. Here's the thing. The way I'm looking at this year is I'm looking at us being mostly flat over the first half of the year. Second half of the year is going to be, I'm looking at it as being a ramp into a bull market. I think we're going to see some really good movement in the second half of the year. That means a lot of stuff's going to be going up, which is great. So we kind of have about 6 months in which we can look at DCAing, or if you want to be one of these more strategic people, you can look for days that your things are really far, where something goes down quite a bit and jump in a little bit on that. But I think we're definitely going to have some really interesting times over the next year. I'm really looking forward to 2024. Let's see. So Chad says, I'd personally stay away from telecoms, and Manish wants to know why. And Chad's response, dividend trap, high debt, no growth. There is issues right now with the telecoms. We'll get back here to Paul in a second. I think one of the big issues is that, yeah, you do have a lot of debt. Now, that is when we get the rate cuts, that is going to help them, especially TELUS and Bell. It'll help Rogers as well, but Rogers just has an incredible amount of debt because, well, because of the acquisition of Shaw. So they are, I mean, they're still going to be fine, but they have to sort of find their new normal, I think, and they have to get that debt under control. So I don't see it as being a quick fix. Obviously, moving back into a bull market, if we do so in the middle of the year, that's going to benefit everybody. And it will benefit the telecoms. But there's probably better companies to ride back up because I think it's going to be a little more painful for the telecoms when we do start to go up. All right, Paul says UNH up 2.48% and VC REIT up 2.4%. Pep up. So Pepsi is up and Coke, look at that, and Coke is up. So yeah, there's definitely REITs is something I'm kind of excited for again. It's been a long time since I've been excited for REITs, but I'm getting there, which is kind of fun. And here's the funny thing though, with as a total return investor, the total return on a REIT is usually pretty much their dividend because they're pretty much built and structured for just passing on their taxes to you in the form of a dividend. But here's the thing, because of all of the rate hikes in the bear market, they've been pushed really, really far down. So their equilibrium is much higher than where they're at now. So that's why I'm looking at some of these growth potentials of riding some of that up with these REITs. RioCan is one of the ones I'm going to ride. And I know some people, you either hate or, love or hate RioCan, but I think their 5% dividend is stable, and I'm looking forward to riding them up. Once they get back up, though, when it comes to the portfolio, where it is a total return portfolio, then we'll probably start to filter down a little bit lower on some of the REITs and move them into things that have the growth and the dividends to get us much higher returns. But that'll be part of the fun, and you guys will get to see the whole thing as we progress. Okay, we already did that. Steve says, I bought 500 shares of ACT last summer at 89 cents a share with some fun money. Glad I kept it. Chat said, nice, Steve. Is the big green time ACD closed 150? And Paul says BAM and EQB and GSY down. Good. Let's try this again. BAM and EQB and GSC down. Good down day to buy. So in other words, they're down. It's a correction, a good chance to buy. Absolutely. As you guys know, those of you who watched the video yet, BAM did really well in the portfolio this over the last month. So BAM is one of these stocks that I don't think you can go wrong with them. And also EQB. I mean, I recently did that deep dive on EQB, and I'm loving EQB. They are a awesome stock. Ian says, this is old news, but ANQ was every financial YouTuber's darling until it dropped. How did most people not see it coming? When it comes to Algonquin, and I think you're talking about Algonquin. I think you just mistyped your thing. But when it comes to Algonquin, I think a lot of people, I mean, I loved Algonquin for the longest time, but before they cut their dividend and really started faltering, I did do a deep dive on Algonquin, and I wasn't very kind to them. They do have some good things going for them, though. And I think this is the reason that a lot of people sort of really held on to Algonquin for a long time. One of the good things they have going is that because they're into the utilities, they have a lot of regulation. So there's a lot of regulation with Algonquin, and that does help create a certain level of stability. Even if they get into a situation where their debt's a bit too high, they have that regulation to sort of fall back on, and they have the time to try to get that under control. Like, I think Algonquin will be a good stock again. Not anytime soon, though. And I get this question. I probably get this question almost weekly. When is Algonquin going to be good again? And here's the thing. The time to have sold Algonquin has passed. So we're now at a point that they've come really far down. If you're deep in the red at Algonquin, I would think seriously before I would bail at this stage, only because, we're going to go flat for a while and eventually we will eventually recover, but it is going to take them a little bit of time. And I'm going to do another deep dive again in 2024 on, on Algonquin, just because so many people still love it. And we'll see if they're moving in the right direction. I mean, it's still probably not going to be, I'm not going to be the kindest to them, but I will give them credit if they're moving their fundamentals in the right direction. And if I see signs that their debt is decreasing, and there could be some, they did sell off some of their assets. So it'll be interesting to see how Algonquin is going to look. When is that deep dive? It's probably going to be Q1, to be honest. I've been getting enough of a call at Algonquin that we'll definitely do that. All right. Paul says GRT.UN up 10% in the last month. Nice. Yeah. And this is the thing. I think once people got it into their minds that, that the debt cycle, that the rate hike rising cycle is done, people are starting to look at Algonquin, even looking in Blossom, for example. Blossom will report, if you tell it to. You can choose not to, but most people do have it where it sets up and it shows what people are buying. And I've noticed since around late November, a lot more people, like a lot more financial YouTubers. So people like, for example, Canadian in a T-shirt. I've noticed him buying, more RioCan, and some of the others starting to buy more REITs than before. So I think that's exactly what's going on. I think a lot of people are starting to get a little bit more confidence in REITs. And once the rates actually start getting cut, I think that's going to be really good for any of that stock that you're holding in your portfolio at that time. Chad said, sold my Algonquin at profit before the sell off, then went and sold it, and then went up, sold it, and made a few bucks. Yeah, nothing wrong with taking profits. There's never, no matter what happens, if you're relieving something, if you're selling it and you're still getting a profit, that's a win in my books. Paul says, when is AP.UN safe to buy and not a falling knife? That's a good question. I haven't looked directly at AP.UN, but I'm just gonna, give me a second here. I'm gonna pull it up right now and see what's going on there. Actually, you know what? I'll do it this way here. All right. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so they do have, they do have a very nice looking dividend. So their dividend's pretty high at 8.92%, roughly in that vicinity. Now, here's the beautiful things about AP.UN is, yes, they have fallen quite a bit, but there are some good things about it. One thing that's really interesting here is I'm taking a look here. They're looking that their earnings are going to be growing pretty big over the next couple of years. And this is taking into account as well the rate cuts. But according to simplywall.st, they're saying that their earnings are forecast to grow by 66.24% over the next year. That's insane. But the other issue that AP does have, of course, is their debt. So their debt is, it's definitely not covered by their operating cash flow. They really need to start working on that at the same time. But let's see if there's any other big issues here with them. I'm not seeing any huge issues. So from the sounds, from what I've seen thus far, I would say that it probably is not a bad time to start looking at dollar cost averaging into AP.UN. It does look like it's going to do okay. And if the analysts are right on this, and I have to deep dive, I really should deep dive that one. I'll put it up in the vote. So you guys have to vote for it so that we can do it. But I do want to do that one because I'm just looking here and I'm liking some of the things I am seeing on them. So, and that's just from taking a superficial look. Let's see. Booster season is here, I guess. Uh-oh. Yeah, probably. Yeah, AQN. That's what I kind of thought. Let's see. The last week of October into November, December, almost like that was the bottom. I would say, yeah, I think for a lot of REITs, their bottom has, like, I think the bottoms are in for most REITs. There might be the odd exception. Always, of course, do your due diligence. Double check their fundamentals. Make sure things are going to look okay on the other side. But yeah, I would say that for most REITs, the bottom is in. And that's kind of why I'm excited about REITs going into the new year. Ian says the other stock everyone is interested in is Enbridge. Yeah, everybody loves Enbridge. Enbridge is kind of, I mean, once again, Enbridge has a lot of debt, but they also do have a lot of regulation, and they are huge. They're massive. They've got very deep pockets. So, I mean, Enbridge is going to be fine. But here's the thing. It's going to take them a while, to really start improving some of the issues that the company has on the fundamental basis. And, here's the worry. Will they cut their dividend, before they get to the other side and before things start to improve? I think they are hesitant to cut their dividend because they are a dividend aristocrat. I can't remember exactly how many years they're at, but they've been building towards that. Like what kind of when you look at the dividend kings, so we have Canadian Utilities and Fortis, and they're both in that kind of sector. So there's a lot of bragging right amongst the utility companies if they can get a good streak going. So that's one of the reasons that Enbridge doesn't, otherwise, if they didn't care, they would just cut their dividend and improve their things. But you also have to be wary too that when you do cut your dividend, you do have a lot of people that will sell your stock. That's just a natural product of cutting your dividend. When people start selling your stock, it does put more selling pressure on things, and that does pull your price down. So it's going to be interesting. Minto REIT. Yeah, Minto REIT, I think, is going to be very interesting. I think I did a recent video on REITs, and I think I had Minto in there as one that I think is probably going to do some really good stuff as we move into the bull market. So Paul says, general thing, if a dividend payer cuts, holy banana bread, I don't know what's wrong today. That's why I'm glad I have my coffee. General thing, if a dividend payer cuts dividend, time to sell right away as share price will take a dive. It will take a dive. And that's where you have to sort of take a look. Now, here's a funny thing. I mean, this is how I would kind of play it. If there was going to be a major dividend cut, but yet I still had full faith in that company, it might be a situation where I might sell if I know that the price is going to plummet, and then buy them back on the other side. Mind you, I will wait, because if it's in my TFSA, I have to wait that 30 days. Otherwise, we're going to have some issues with, of course, the CRA. Ian says, when I hear about heat pumps, I get scared about holding Enbridge. I'll tell you a little story about heat pumps. My parents in Nova Scotia, they got a heat pump. They put it in, and they were thinking, okay, yeah, that would really, really, really help us cut back on oil. It really didn't. The heat pump was pretty much effective at maybe heating the living room, so one little area, but the rest of the house was cold as could be. So unless you're going to put a whole bunch of heat pumps in, like you pretty much, I think I don't think they're as great as people think. Unless my parents just happen to buy a really crappy one. But I don't think that's a big issue right now. Like for Enbridge, and keep in mind, like we use Enbridge here and it's natural gas. It just comes into the house and we use it. There's no need to switch to a heat pump here. And I think a lot of Enbridge customers are using natural gas, and I don't know how much, I don't know what incentive there is to switch to a heat pump at this point. And yeah, you're probably overreacting. Yeah, I would say that we're not yet there yet. Let's see. Prairie says, question on OTEX in the 0 to 100K challenge. Since OTEX declares dividends in USD, Does Wealthsimple pay it out in CAD? And if so, does it change the FX fee on the dividend conversion? Or does it charge the FX fee? So yeah, what Wealthsimple does is it does charge, it does do a conversion. So I don't know if they charge though. This is the thing. I don't know if they charge anything beyond the regular conversion rate on it. I've never seen any documentation as to whether or not they do. So I don't know if they actually charge anything extra like that little fee that they normally have when you're moving money back and forth. But, well, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know if they do. I don't think they do, but you'll definitely want to verify that 100%. And probably the best place is to reach out to their customer service and ask, because that I don't know. Ian says, Candace, where are you from? You don't have an accent. Sound like you are from Saskatoon. Saskatoon? Oh boy. Normally it's Chad who brings up Saskatchewan. I'm from, so I was born in Halifax, so Nova Scotia. But here's the thing. This is kind of one of those funny things. I watched a lot of TV as a kid. And as a result, I feel like a lot of my accent isn't super bad when it comes to accents. And plus I've trained myself because I know one place I used to work at in Vancouver, they were like, my immediate boss once pulled me in and said, you throw S's on the ends of things. And I'm like, what do you mean? She says, well, if you're going to say the word somewhere, instead of somewhere, you say somewheres. And Maritimers do that. I didn't even realize it, but Maritimers have this habit of throwing S's on things. And so I was doing that all the time, but I physically trained myself to not do it. So now I will say somewhere opposed to somewheres. Even if I'm back home, I still am very conscientious of that. So I think in a sense that really does make it harder to pick up that I'm a Maritimer. But sometimes if I get really excited, a little bit of the accent does start to flow through for sure. Let's see. Heat pumps are getting oversold. Had it myself, and it requires a secondary input, gas, oil, or even electric when temperatures go down below -10. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the experience that we have with my mom's heat pump. I believe she's from New Brunswick. Got an accent like me, kind of. So yeah, not New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. And thank you, Candace. I know you are from Saskatoon. Dear. I've actually never even been to Saskatoon. I have been across Saskatchewan, but I don't think the Trans-Canada runs through Saskatoon, if I'm correct. But I would love to visit Saskatoon. I'll just put that out there. Paul says, heat pump replaced in a forced air duct natural gas works just fine, at least in BC lower mainland. Mine is good to -30. It gets to -11 here, but not this year. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, I used to live in Vancouver. I was living in Vancouver when the Winter Olympics were there, and it was so funny. I mean, here we had the Winter Olympics, and it was probably one of the warmest winters we had in forever. I mean, most people were out in t-shirts during the Winter Olympics because it was that warm. So that was kind of funny. Paul says Newfoundlanders were the funniest people at work. Yeah. I mean, my brother actually lives in St. John's, Newfoundland. Funny story how he got there. He was a pilot. Then 9/11 happened. And there was less pilots, so he ended up going to air traffic control. And there was a position in St. John's. He got there, started having kids with locals, and next thing you know, he's now a Newfoundlander. So, although I don't think he has the accent, I haven't picked it up on him, but his kids kind of have it. So yeah, Moonish wants to know how big the house is. New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, the same thing. Those are almost fighting words, my friend. I find, just get back to this, I mean, I find the difference between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick is New Brunswick, you have a lot more influence from Quebec, so you have a lot more bilingualism in New Brunswick. Whereas Nova Scotia, we have a little bit of French, but the French we have in Nova Scotia tends to be Acadian French along the French shore. We also we got pockets of people up in Cape Breton that speak Gaelic too. So we got a lot of different languages there going on. Paul says, okay, Moonish, 1975, 1,975 square feet. The way you say sure is the same. Well, perhaps there's definitely, there's definitely similarities. Because we're all Maritimers. It's just that French influence, I think, on New Brunswick does sometimes filter into New Brunswickers as well. Misread. Misread. I said, I know you are not from. Oh, there we go. Okay, awesome. We need to redo our attic insulation. Okay. Anne says, and one of the winners today of membership says, I lived in Saskatoon and Regina. Don't visit in the winter. Banana bread cold. Yes. Well, I've lived in Calgary, and when you didn't have a Chinook coming, it was pretty darn cold. I remember one day I had to go out and it was like -40 and the wind chill was close to -50. It was crazy cold. And I wrapped myself up like a mummy. I was totally covered, so I thought I was safe. Well, it turns out that my scarf separated on my nose just enough that the tip of my nose was exposed, and it got a little frostbite. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I thought I was good. And I didn't even realize it was happening, because when you got a dry cold like that, oh God, you do not even feel that you're in trouble, but you are. Ian says, a guy here from Calgary I met on the phone was asking about Saskatoon. I said, don't go in the winter. Yeah, that probably sounds good. Most of the prairies, I think, especially when you do get like the polar vortex coming down, it usually, well, where does it go? It goes across the prairies into the US, and sometimes it slides over and gets us in Ontario. Let's see, sounds there, New Brunswick. Southern, I'm from Beaver Harbor on the Bay of Fundy. See, I do not know where Beaver Harbor is. I assume that's going to be somewhere down near St. John, maybe? Or is it not that far from St. John? I'm just sort of thinking. Bleak says, what about RS from Middlefield? Middlefield. I think I'm trying to think of, I don't even know where Middlefield is. I think I know of a Middleton, but, I don't know. Let's see here. Banana bread cold. Yes, absolutely. Ann Kirk, been a great winter in Saskatoon this year. Plane, not phone. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on. Chad says, and Saskatchewan just cut their home heating carbon tax. Is that like the provincial? Is that like a provincial cut? I know anybody who uses oil got that cut from the Liberals not that long ago. So yeah, Ian's asking, is that official? Prairie says, polar vortex, a bit chilly in Winnipeg. Oh, poor Winnipeg. Winnipeg. I've been to Winnipeg. It's not a bad city, but definitely cold. Let's see, 30 minutes from St. John. From what Ian read. Okay, so pretty close to St. John. That's where I was thinking, just because I know St. John is on that part of the Bay of Fundy. And Chad says, from what I read, yes, thanks, Scott Moe. Okay, awesome. All right, we're coming up towards the end, but throw some stuff in. We'll keep going if you guys got questions. That's the way we run it. We won't do a 3-hour like we did on the on New Year's. That was a special event. Plus, I've been drinking the coffee much faster, so definitely no need to do that. What was I going to say? So next week as well, we're going to start back with a couple lists. So we'll get a list going. I might do 2 lists. No, I'll do a list and a deep dive. So I'll get the deep dive out pretty soon. I want to get a list off just for some prospects for 2024. See what kind of things I can locate. Vic has laid down the challenge that I have to find the next Hammond. So we'll see if I can do that. No promises, but I'll certainly try, see what I can find. Chad says glycol heaters are better heated by steam. So between Stephen and St. John. All right, there we go. And Jill is throwing in, Winnipeg is not that cold. Now Jill used to live in Winnipeg. I think when she was a kid. So she would know. She would know. And here's a funny thing. I'll tell you this right now. Having grown up in Halifax, um, because the air is so full of moisture being on the Atlantic, a -10, like, or not even a -10, a -5 with a wind blowing. So maybe a -10 wind chill can just chill you to the bone. It's that moisture in the air. It's like icy fingers. It can just get right in. And whereas I find the further you go west, at least until you get to the Rockies, you can handle much, much, much colder temperatures because you just don't have all of that moisture in there. And I think with Vancouver, though, when you start to get on the other side of the Cascades, it's probably the same, but you normally don't get it too bad in Vancouver. But I'll tell you, you can definitely have a chill on, even when it's like 4 degrees and you're on, day 17 of rain. It can certainly still feel a little bit cold. Chad says, Winnipeg. I'm not going to say it, Chad. I don't want to set Jill off anymore. It's a trigger. It's a trigger. Ian says, Blossom is saying I get more dividends than actual. Maybe I did not put the info in correctly. Anyone else having that problem? I think with Blossom, Blossom does have issues. If you're putting it in manually, it's not great at calculating the date right away. If it's pulling it directly from your, like say you have Wealthsimple, it should be it should be accurate in that case. But when you're manually inputting it, it's not 100% accurate because it doesn't have, because a lot of times when you're manually inputting, you're just basically changing your average cost base and the number that you have and all of that fun stuff. But here's an interesting thing. Blossom now is starting to get ready. Now, those of you, if you guys know who Joseph Hogue is, he's a big YouTuber in the States. He's got like 600,000 subs. He's pretty big. He's the one that calls his fans the Bowtie Nation. Well, he has now become an ambassador, and he's starting to bring the U.S. folk up into Blossom. So look for U.S. people to start popping up. I don't know yet, and I'll have to wait till we have our next meeting on this. I don't know if it's going to be separated or if everybody's just going to be together. We'll have to see, but I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Blossom is on the verge of a pretty big growth. I did watch his video. He did a video today. I was watching it, and he did a big spiel on Blossom. So I definitely expect to see some American blood coming in pretty quickly. Bleak says it's an ETF. It has Rio and SRU.UN. Oh, you're talking about the RS ETF. Okay, yeah. I hear ya. Prairie says, I'm a born and bred Winnipegger. -32 is too cold for me. No, that's fine. That's fine. And keep in mind, I think Jill has a bigger cold tolerance than I do, but that's just me. Chad says the Pass or LA Pass is a different town. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? I'll give you an example of the difference. So when Jill finishes up a shower, she turns it to the cold. So I'm always careful to make sure I turn it back when I start. I can't do that. I can't go in there and just, blast myself with cold. That to me is that's a little bit too cold. I'm not a big fan of the cold.
Edmonton is colder.
All right. And Jill says Edmonton's colder than Winnipeg. So it is farther north. So maybe, yeah. See, we summoned the Jill by talking about Winterpeg, and that certainly did it. So, all right. Now this has been a good stream. So this is the last of the giveaways. Tomorrow we're gonna do this all over again, but it's not a giveaway stream. It is just the regular market close. We're gonna take a look at a few things. We'll chat and all of that, and we'll also update. On Wednesdays, we're going to update the community watch list. So we'll pull that up and take a look at how some of the stuff's doing on it. And then if you guys got stuff you want to add to it, we'll do that tomorrow. And of course, we got the prediction video coming at the end of this week. So that's going to be fantastic. We will also have sectors to invest in 2024. As Chad threw that in. Yes, part of the prediction video, I will predict the sectors I think that are going to do well and the sectors I think that are going to do poorly. So that will definitely be in that video. We will also still be back here for another live stream as well on the weekend, because we have this week, and that's not going anywhere. So 2 live streams a week. There's going to be a 3rd live stream on that week when we do the channel members live stream. So I will be putting out as well for the channel members. I'll be dropping something for you guys, so you guys can let me know what you want me to cover in the channel member live stream. So that'll be coming out pretty darn soon, because I'd like to do that around the middle of the month. So that might even be next week. So we'll have to see. Oh, and JJ just made it into the house at the end. Hey, Candace and all, caught the end. Didn't know there was a live today. Uh-oh. Well, that's never good. Yes, there's a live today, and there will be a live tomorrow, JJ, at 3:45. So we will be back here tomorrow. Until then, everybody, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. This has been great. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have some more fun. Let's hope we get a green day tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.